God is real. I believe in God wholeheartedly with every ounce of my being. No matter who you believe or what you believe in, you can still find your happiness. This story you are and will experience has a tendency to get you closer to God. I personally did not believe until I started. Well, I kinda did, but it wasn't really that strong. It was just kind of like a concept I threw up in my mind. Whether you call them signs, omens, divine intervention, or even just simply being aware, seeing them and then understanding them will bring you much clarity. It is easy to get lost in the light, confused on what to believe in. There was a lot of misguidance and propaganda in the world that leads you to drift off your path. Reading and understanding proper guidance while believing your internal truth is the path to freedom, the path to thinking accurately. This is essential if you want to see your manifested success, especially at a high level. Thinking accurately is the most important concept I'll introduce you to, because if there is one thing that you will always have with you, is your own thoughts. Being able to control and understand those thoughts will allow you to reside on a higher plane. The power of your mind is incredible. Your thoughts are the seed to action. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I do not completely understand signs in their entirety. I think they will make more sense to me in due time as I grow and am able to reflect. But I will say this, I remember countless times where I would have a repeated vision in my head of a goal, and eventually that vision will come into fruition, or at least the opportunity for its obtainment. Sometimes literally, and sometimes in a different way, almost as a metaphor. It seems that we receive signs and this special guidance in different ways, in different forms, communicated to us in the best way it can be communicated or described. Perhaps from a dream, a repeated circumstance in your life, or getting goosebumps or freezing up when someone's talking to you, signifying the importance in the words that they are saying. Now, I know I may lose some people on this, but I do not care. This is what I experienced, and so I will speak it with conviction. While writing my story I'm about to share with you, I had this thought. The thought that it relates heavily to my What Does It All Mean video that I'm going to upload when I release this whole greatest story ever told experience. And so it's kind of like a full circle moment, and I was quite thankful to realize that. I wondered what that means. No pun intended. In 2022, leading up to October, I was lost. I did not have a clear vision, if one at all. I knew deep down I wanted to continue and pursue YouTube, but I just wasn't uploading. In fact, I wasn't even really making videos. The thought of quitting had haunted me, but perhaps it was for the best. Perhaps I needed to take a different route. But I didn't know what to do. I ended up getting so fed up with this confusion and inaction that I decided to get an answer. I had a repeated image in my head of me going into the middle of the woods for this answer, with a daunting image of death close to it. Now, I didn't completely understand it, but I decided I did enough waiting and it was time to get this answer. I knew the place I would go. I've been there before and I call it my happy place. It's a remote, secluded resort with woods close by. I never had enough money to actually stay in the resort, but I would just sleep in my car and enjoy all the amenities. I waited till late in the afternoon to get into deep thought. I sat in front of an indoor fireplace for probably a good 2 to 3 hours, arming myself with knowledge and getting deeper into my mind. I had a couple of verses in the Bible that a girl I was talking to at the time sent me, while the books Think and Grow Rich and Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill in front of me. Reason why those two books in particular is because I remember in those books there's a section where Napoleon talks about confronting and contacting infinite intelligence and gaining incredibly insightful knowledge from it. I knew if I wanted to be successful and come out of those woods, I would need to go this route. Also, in my mind, I was not leaving those woods until I got my answer. I wouldn't be denied. I then felt like I was ready, so I started to head into the woods. All I brought with me was a flashlight, piece of paper, a pen, and a water bottle. I got into the entrance of the trail with the intent of going deep into it. I remember having a brief but very noticeable sense of fear before going in, until a lyric by Joey Badass played in my head that went like, "The best things in life are on the opposite side of fear." I descend in a calm and collected manner, walking in the pitch black wilderness with nothing but a flashlight lighting the way. After walking for a bit, I was not too deep, but deep enough to where no one would see me. My flashlight all of a sudden starts to flicker. I was right next to an opening by the water, so I took it as a sign to just prop up there. As I sit and look at the stars, I begin to ponder. At first my mind is racing, constantly trying to figure out what my answer is. I remember praying multiple times demanding that I get an answer. I had a lot of questions I was asking, and they all sort of related to, why am I doing this and should I be doing this? Mind you, this is the first Friday night of October, and it is cold. I remember occasionally shivering. It must have been about an hour or so, and then my mind started to settle down. I had a couple of pretty profound thoughts, but none where it felt like it was the answer. The night kept getting colder, and for what it felt like an eternity out there, I did not panic nor waver, until I started to hear footsteps about 20 to 30 feet behind me. There was a lot of trees and shrubbery blocking whatever was making that noise. I was incredibly anxious, until I saw a pack of deer walking by. I couldn't really see them that well, only an outlined, shadowy figure of them. But one of the deer didn't pass though. It stood there. And this one seemed to be a bit bigger than the others, and it was just staring at me. I tried to ignore it, hoping it would go away, until I started to hear it making sounds. Sounds not of simple footsteps, but huffs. Then it started kicking his feet on the ground, getting it looked like it was ready to charge. In this moment, I started to think I should just get up and go, and I would be lying to you if I said I didn't highly consider it. But thank God I didn't. That deer ended up just passing by after a couple of minutes. As time went on, another couple hours went by of just clear head, waiting to receive my answer. I started shivering again, only this time a bit more intense. It increases as I only get colder. I keep shivering more and more until what it feels like my whole body is vibrating. In this very moment, a feeling starts to rise relatively quick as I continue to shiver more and more. This is an intense feeling, and it increases with the shivering. And then all at once, for what it felt like I just harnessed every ounce of passion, love, righteousness, and any other emotion to a similar degree comes over me at once in an absolutely unbelievable way that words cannot describe the sensation. I blurt out my answer, screaming inside of my soul for what it felt like to be an unreal out-of-body experience. And I unleashed the phrase, I turned into a fighter. After that occurred, I was in complete shock, knowing that it was the answer, but just in disbelief in the wild experience. I immediately went to my car and started to warm up. An incredible sense of happiness soon followed. No idea what the phrase meant, but just incredibly happy that I got it. And the day after, I started filming. Oh, and by the way, as I'm doing this a little over a year later, I never changed the batteries of that flashlight, and it hasn't flickered once.